Howdy, Beefalo Bart here, and welcome. This is part 2, making your first game, and, well, kind of developing things, and I'm not going to get too carried away, but I'm not going to also break down everything. I'm going to break down the things that are necessary as we need them to be. So what have we created? We hit play. We can see our character. We don't have a mouse cursor bugging us. We can walk around. We can interact with our map going up and down the stairs. We can fall off of things. We can jump. We can do all our basics. We have a third-person character, and this is going to get us started. And my concept was I'm going to create a cowboy game. So, well, it doesn't look very cowboy. So let's cowboy it up a little bit. Make sure I've got my content folder selected, create a new folder by right-clicking in the empty space, new folder, and we're going to call this Assets. Going to go into it by hitting Enter while I have it selected. I'm going to right-click and create a new folder called Mesh. Go into it. Actually, let's go back to our Assets folder. We need another one here called Materials. We're going to need another one called Textures. We're going to need another one called Audio. And I'm going to go into the Audio folder, and I'm going to create a new folder called Attenuation. Will be very important whenever you get to multiplayer. Another folder called Music, because we got to have music. And we did another one called Effects. That should be good enough for now. I'm going to go to my Mesh folder, and I'm going to import something to kind of cowboy up my character just a little bit. Now, I've got 3 monitors, so I can just drag this in here. So what I'm going to do is I've got selected right here hat.fbx, and all I'm going to do is left click, and I'm going to drag it in here. But I'm going to have it off screen. If you only have one monitor, you can just kind of make it the window smaller and then drag it in that way. But since I have multiple monitors, I'm going to do it thus way. So I'm just going to drag the hat.fbx, and I'm going to left click, drag it, drop it in here. This window is going to pop up. FBX import options, import static mesh. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to come right down to the import button and let it ride. Because, oh no, there's an error. No smoothing group. I don't care. Shut up. Go away. So what we have now is our hat and a material. Well, this is the mesh folder. The hat can stay in here. It's got that light blue color, which tells me that it's a static mesh. This is a material. I can tell because it's got a green line right there, and I can mouse over it. It tells me that it's a material. So I'm going to left click and drag it over to my materials folder and move here. Going to hit save all, save selected. Now I can actually look at it by double clicking on it. It's a cowboy hat. I'm going to have a cowboy hat for our character, right? Next thing we need to do is, I'm not going to worry about collisions on this because it's going to be a hat. I don't want it interfering with anything. So we're just going to leave it as it is. And I want this to go onto my character. So I can just go to my character and say, put on a friggin' hat, right? Yes and no. What I want to do is I'm going to go to my mannequin folder. So we'll scroll down until we can see mannequin. I'm going to open up that folder, and I'm going to open up the one for character. I'm going to go to the mesh folder, because right now we're using this UE4 mannequin skeleton, Manny. So I'm going to double click on my UE4 mannequin skeleton. And here's our character. We have him, just everything is normal. I want to find his head, so I can left click on his head. And it shows me some transform tools, that's fine. But you can see right here, neck and then head. So what I want to do is I'm going to right click on head, and I'm going to add socket. Now I'm going to left click on head socket. I'm going to hit F2, and I'm going to rename this to hat underscore socket. And then I'm going to hit enter. Now, if we put the hat on, is it going to be perfect? Well, let's find out. I'm going to right click on the hat socket, and then I'm going to come down here to add preview asset. I'm going to find my hat and select it. I'm going to right click to be able to pan around a little bit, and that is definitely not where we want our hat to you may want to, but I'm sure as hell not going to leave my hat there. So right now we have, this is the rotate objects. So I'm going to grab this yellow bar, and it's going to allow me to rotate it that way. So I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Then I'm going to select the four-way arrows here next to the rotate, and that's going to allow me to move it up, down, left, and right. And I'm going to right click and WASD to kind of move around. Grab this blue one, and I'm going to drag it up here to where it looks about right, and then grab the green one, and to make sure we're in the right spot for it, I want to kind of zoom around the map a little bit, look at it, see if it looks right. That's how we want our character to look when he's wearing his hat. That looks fine. So I'm going to hit the save button and hit the X up here and close that. And now we're set. We can minimize the mannequin folder. We can go back into our player blueprints. Now, we can do this a couple different ways. We're going to do it the simple way first, and we're just going to give our character the hat. So I'm going to go into my player, and I'm going to click on viewport right here. It's going to let us see our character. He's doing his little animation thing, and we can see this weird brownish colored thing around him, this capsule. That is our capsule component, which is going to be important to remember for later on. However, it doesn't, and I don't know why the default one, there's that much space between the head and the top of that. That's going to affect your collisions of where your character can go and where it can't go. And we'll worry about that later on, but I don't know why by default they have that much gap in between. Fixing it is a pain in the butt sometimes to get it just right. Not terrible, but whatever. So I'm actually going to click on my mesh, and I'm going to, before I do anything else, I'm going to go back to TP example. I'm going to go to my mesh folder. I'm going to select the static mesh for my hat. I'll show you why in just a minute. So I'm going to unselect it first. So with mesh selected, if I hit add component, what is it that I was going to put in here? I was going to put in a static mesh. So I can do that and then go about it and setting it up. No, we're going to keep it simple and easy. So I'm going to go ahead and have my hat selected and then go back into my player. And when I hit add component, I come down here and I can see static mesh hat. Now, it's there, right? So if I click anywhere to get out of that or hit enter, we can see that it's actually on the ground. That's not where we want it to be. So with hat selected, I can come over here and we see we got our static mesh, we got our material, that's all cool, but we see socket, parent socket. I'm going to click on the magnifying glass, select my hat socket, and there we go. It is now socketed to our player. I'm going to hit compile and save. Now, whenever I go in here to play, our character is a cowboy. He got him a cowboy hat. It's kind of a bright-ass white color. Probably not the color that I want to keep it, but to change that, we can actually go to our materials, go to our material, our M hat instance, weird name, but I'm going to go into it, and, well, this is jumbled up. So I'm just going to move this over so I can see what the hell I'm doing. Now, you can see we have base color, metallic, specular, roughness, emissive. I'm not going to go into the whole deal of materials, but for our situation right here, how do we get our character hat and everything else to be correct, to match the color of our player? Well, I can go back to our mannequin folder. and go up to our materials folder and do it of either of a couple different ways. I'm going to go into the chest logo. It's the same color as our body color. So if I select this, nothing is happening here. I can open up this and I can get all these measurements and all that kind of stuff. But here's what I want to do is I'm going to actually go ahead and select this right here. And then now I can select this. Now I can actually drag this in here and save it to there. Or I can actually recolor my entire player if I want to. But I'm just for right now, I'm going to grab this and I'm going to drag it up here. And that's going to save the color. It's going to hit save and close that. Now when I click on this and click on here, I can select that, select OK, and I can just hit save, or I can hit apply and then save. I'm just going to hit save. It's going to automatically apply it as it's doing it. When it gets done doing its thing right here, our hat will now match the same color as our player. So we go back in here to play, and it kind of matches a little bit better. It doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. So there we go. We got our cowboy. Not a great cowboy. Still looks like a damn robot with, you know, a cowboy hat. But whatever. Kind of a weird lighting issue underneath the brim of the hat. But again, we got to start somewhere, right? So, as I mentioned in the last video, what I wanted to do was actually take this and make it to where we could bring this up into a way we can play it outside of the game. We don't want to run the editor to test it out and play it. We want to share this with somebody. Hey, this is my game. What do you think? Well, it sucks. You can't do anything. Of course it sucks, because we haven't done anything yet. But let's go ahead and take a look at a few settings. I'm going to close my player base and go to Edit, Project Settings. Now, when this window pops up, the first thing you're going to see here is About. If you want to change your thumbnail, you need to make an image for your game thumbnail at 192 by 192 and a PNG format. And you can do that with GIMP, no problem. I'm not worried about it just yet, but I'll revisit this later on. Description, whatever. Project name, my game. Project version 1.0, we can leave that alone. Company name, you can put whatever you want. I'm going to put Beefalo Bart Gaming. Company distinguished name. The same shit, ain't it? So, whatever. You put home page, support contact, copyright notices if you want to put them in here. You're really not going to see this very much, but licensing terms, privacy policy, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to change anything else. I just wanted everybody to know that this was all made by Beefalo Bart Gaming. Going to come down here to Maps and Modes. Default game mode. For right now, we're going to stick this as third-person game mode. Selected game mode. Since we selected that, player base is already there, and that's cool. We can check that back. Editor startup map. I'm going to select here, and I'm going to go to TP example map. So when we first start the editor, it's always going to come back to that map. Game default map. Well, we're also going to change that to our TP example map. So that's cool. Default maps. Now you can expand this down. Local maps option. Whatever. Transition map. If you wanted to create a transition map, so when you're going from one map to another, that's going to be a transition map. Server default map, again, we're going to change that to TP example, but I don't have a transition map just yet. We'll cover that later on, but that's that. So now I can undo this or hide advanced. Local multiplayer, use split screen. I'm not using split screen. We're not doing local multiplayer. So, not going to mess with it. Leave it the way it is. Not going to change that. That's fine. Movies, we don't have any movies, so whatever. But if you did have a startup movie, you could put that in here, or a startup video, or what have you. Make it to where they're skippable. You can just check that, and press a mouse button, it'll skip it. If you want them to wait until it's complete, you can click that, but we don't have one yet, so we're not going to worry about it. Packaging. For right now, we're going to stick with development, build configuration, development. We're not going to change that. We're not changing the staging directory just yet because it'll do that automatically. Full rebuild, whatever. For distribution, no. This is our test build. We want to check it. We want to share this with our friends, especially once it's multiplayer. You're going to want to do this to share it with your friends. Blueprints, whatever. Not changing any of this stuff right here, but we are going to go to packaging. We're going to select show advanced, and then we're going to scroll down. Support is in English. I'm not changing any of the stuff right here. What I want to look for is list of maps to include in a packaged build. Okay. If you've got a shitload of test maps and you want to just package everything, that's fine. But I don't want all my test maps being packaged and all my other junk. So I'm just going to click on the plus, add element. And it's going to give me maps to cook is 0. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots. It's going to bring up the folder for my game and content. We can then go to the maps folder. We want to select tp_example_map.umap, not the build data, but just the map itself. Click open. Now we have our map. It's only going to build this map. It's only going to cook it. It's only going to package it. We're only worried about that. Cool. Supported platforms. Okay. We're not developing for all platforms. I'm going to uncheck that box. Uncheck every single solitary thing except for Windows. If you're developing yours on Mac, go right ahead. Or Linux, whatever. I'm developing for Windows, so I'm only going to test it on Windows. That's all that matters to me. So, not desktop. I'm just Windows only because I'm using Windows. Alright. So, target hardware, I'm not going to change any of that. Asset manager, I don't need any of this other stuff whatsoever. So this should have me set up ready to package in a development build. And I just close that. There's no save button, so you don't have to worry about it. So now when we come in, this is what we're going to see when we come in here to our game. And I'm going to go ahead and package it here in just a second so you can see. This is my game, stupid. Well, we don't want to call everybody stupid, so this is my game. I'll get rid of stupid. So now when we hit play, we can see this is my game. Yay, and there was much rejoicing. We now has a cowboy. If you want that cowboy hat, I didn't create it. I got that from learning resources from Unreal Engine 4. I can make that available in Discord if you want. It's just an FBX file. But if you want it, let me know. It's just, like I said, an FBX file. It's 70 kilobytes, and that's all you really need to worry about. So just request it in Discord, and I'll drop it in there. Alright, so I'm going to minimize all these other folders, and I'm going to show you what it takes to actually package your game. Even though this is as far as we've got, we don't have anything. This is our game. Come in here, okay, I can see my character, I can walk around, and I can go up and down stairs. I can jump up on here, I can fall off. Our game sucks. We don't have anything in here. Doesn't matter. This is going to be something you're going to need to get used to doing so that you can share this with your friends. Your friends, and even if you don't have friends, then other people that you might know or associate with, they can download this from you or from your Google Drive or from whatever, and they can give you feedback. It's not multiplayer. They're not going to be able to join you. There's no fancy stuff. Will I cover doing multiplayer stuff? Yes and no. Yes, but I'm going to show you how to do it using my template, and I sell that template. It's 20 bucks, US currency, PayPal only. And why do I sell it? Because I need income. I don't have any. I need monies. So And I think I deserve it for helping people to learn how to do things. And very inconsequential. Just tell me what game version you want, or not game, or engine version you want, and I'll make sure you get the correct version, or I will show you how to convert it to other versions in a private session. I've shown it in videos too, but I will show how to do a multiplayer. And the reason why I'm going to show this way now, show you how to package this now, is starting in the next video, I will probably go ahead and just delete this version right here completely and start back up with the multiplayer version of. Why am I going to show you how to create a game and require you to buy a $20 asset pack? It seems pretty crappy. It's not required, but if you want to make your game multiplayer, it's going to be the simplest way for you to get in there and do it. It's going to use everything pretty much the way I've got everything set up right now at this point, but it will allow you to have a way for your friends to join you, and you can go in here multiplayer and check things out. So we'll get to that in the next video. I just want to cover getting this far and show you how to do a packaging build to be able to play it outside. So we have everything neat, clean, organized in its own little folders, and everything is good. So now what I want to do is go to, before I start packaging, I want to go to my Windows Explorer, and I want to create a folder. Yes, I got a lot of crap here. I have one hard drive that I use. It says storage drive, but it's just for Unreal Engine 4 stuff. And I'm going to right click on here, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call that, why the hell did it automatically click off, you pain in the ass? I'm going to hit F2 to rename it, and I'm going to call this my first game. And why the hell did it do that? Windows, you suck. So then I want to go into it and find my first game right there. So now I have this folder open in Windows Explorer, and now I'm going to move this off the screen, and we're going to go back over here. We're going to hit File. We're going to come down here to Package Project. There's question marks by all this stuff right here. It's not listed as a target platform, so it may not run as expected. Who cares? We're doing this for Windows. If you're still using Windows 32-bit, I'm sorry, you need to upgrade. So we're going to package this for Windows 64-bit. So again, File, Package Project, Windows 64-bit. Select that with the mouse button, left mouse button, and then no. Ignore what it gives you as your project default. Go to your hard drive and find exactly what folder it is you want it to go to that you just created, called My First Game. And then select folder, and it's going to start packaging. Now I'm going to click on Show Output Log so we can look at what's going on here. You have the option to do this later on, and if it fails, yeah, we'll know kind of ahead of time that it's going to fail, but we'll see what happens. Parsing crypto keys. Encryption is disabled. Oh noes. Yeah, I'm just reading a couple things off top here. Unreal Pack is done. Staging completed. Packaging complete. Build successful. Oh my god, we did it the first time. This Windows new editor, you're going to get used to seeing. Let's go ahead and close that. And technically speaking, right now, I'm going to exit out of that. And I'm going to exit out of that. Now, current versions, it's still running. So if you want to open it back up, all you got to do is click right here. I've got mine set up on my toolbar. So now what's happened is it's created it in our folder inside of a Windows No Editor folder. All right, go ahead and open up your folder so you can see Windows No Editor. Go into it. Now, left click on My Game. I'm going to shift left click on Engine. and then I'm going to left click, drag and drop to my first game, and I'm taking everything out of that Windows No Editor folder and I'm dropping it back into this folder right here. Now I'm going to select Windows No Editor and I'm going to delete that son of a bitch because it's a pain in the ass. It will still work just fine this way. Okay. Now, the reason why you're doing this is whenever you now right-click on the folder named after whatever your game is going to be, you're going to right-click on this and select Add to myfirstgame.rar. If you don't have WinRAR installed, do it. Be done with it. So we're going to do that and save that there, but we're not going to do it right now. But My Game. So when you double-click on My Game, this is how you're going to play your game, and this is it. See, it automatically goes full screen. You can run around and do everything you need to do with your cowboy, and everything works. Everything is lovely, but there's one thing we don't have. There's no way of getting out the damn game because we didn't plan ahead for that. How do we exit the game? Hit escape, nothing happens. We have to hit the alternate key and the F4 key to kill it off. So we didn't plan ahead, so I'm going to go ahead and grab these, shift left click and select all of it, and I'm going to delete it. Yes, delete. So we want to be able to exit the game. So we're going to go back into our Epic Launcher. We're going to go back into our project. And where the hell is it? My Game, My Game, My Game. It's in here somewhere. Again, too many projects and can't find jack squat in here. That's terrible. Oh, where the hell is my game? Right there. Duh. Alright, so we'll go back into it. Open a project, and I will show you an easy way of doing this. Now, later on in my other template, I've got an easier way, and it's already done. But what I'll do here is I'll go back to my character, go to Blueprints, go to Player Base, and we are going to create a way of exiting the game in a different way here. So let's actually close this for right now. In our assets, we want to go ahead and create another new folder called Widgets. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to right click, user interface, widget blueprint. We're going to call this our escape underscore menu, but in the very front of this I'm going to put a W, capital W underscore. So now that W in front lets me know that this is a widget, and it's not going to be important right now, but it will be later on for you. So widget escape menu. I'm going to go into it. This is your screen. This is your quick intro into widgets. Not going to be a huge tutorial on here, but I'm going to show you the down and dirty, quick and easy way to make an escape menu. Now, as you scroll down here through things, this is going to be your most used stuff. Commons. I'm going to scroll down here to Special Effects, Background Blur. I'm going to left click and I'm going to drag this into the screen. This big border here, this is your screen. This is your monitor. This is everything you see. I'm going to anchor. Now you can anchor in all kind of different positions here, but in this case I'm going to anchor it to full screen. Then I'm going to come over here to my offset left. I'm going to hit 0, hit tab, hit 0, hit tab, hit 0, hit tab, hit 0, hit tab. Now we've got it all out there. We did it from this. Now let's scroll down. When you first put in a background blur, nothing is going to be visible. So I'm going to scroll down here and well, you know, blur strength. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to make this to be 25. on my strength. So now it's going to blur the entire thing, and that's lovely. The next thing I want to do is Z order. What Z order is the order of which you're going to Z things, you're going to see things. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to put -5. So no matter what, nothing will be, this won't cover anything. This will always be the background, and it'll blur everything in the background. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to, again, this is not a do all, see all, learn all on doing these, but I want to go to panel. I'm going to select a vertical box. Left click, and I'm going to drag this into a thing here. But where is it? Where is my vertical box? I don't see it. Where's my vertical box? I have my background blur, and I don't see it. Well, A, there's nothing in it, but let's throw a button in there. Oh, well, it seems to be in the wrong spot. So let's go ahead, I'm going to delete it. I want to make sure I have my canvas panel selected, and then add my vertical box. I'm going to drag it into here. Actually, here. It keeps adding it to that. So I'm going to just left click and drag it up and drop it onto my canvas panel. So now that I can see that it's there. So before I move anything, before I do anything, is I want to go ahead and move it to get it pretty much close to center on my map. I'm going to change my anchor to center so it can be in the center of the map. If you put the center at 0 and 0, it's going to be offset, so don't worry about it for right now. Our size. Well, before we do that, let's actually go ahead and put in our first button. Left click, drag it down to my vertical box to where you can see that there's a orange circle around the vertical box. So now we have a button. Okay, we want 2 buttons: resume game, exit game. Okay, so we got our first button. Let's grab a text, drag it down to where it encircles our button 1. Now we can see that our button and our text don't match. But before we get crazy, let's select our text right here. Come over here to content, text. We want this to be resume game, and you can hit enter. Now I can select my button, and I can scroll on if I want to. And our vertical box, let's actually grab our vertical box, drag that over so that it's going to match with this. Let's see, roughly, let's take this to 300 for our X, and our Y, well, we're not worried about the Y yet. We'll just grab this and resize it. We only care about the width of it for right now, so our 300, screw it, we can make it 300. So 300 by 300. So now if we go to our vertical box again, change our position to half of our X and our Y size, -150 and -150. That's going to put it dead center on the screen. We're probably going to change the size again later, but let's go ahead and give our button a name. Well, we'll come back to that actually. We can actually take this and right click on it and select copy, or we could have done Control C and then click on vertical box again and then Control V or paste it in. So now we have 2 buttons. We'll worry about the naming conventions of them here in just a moment. But we want a space in between there. There's several ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the easy way to do this because we're only doing 2 buttons. We're going to come down here to primitive spacer, and I'm going to bring this into here until I see it go between the 2 buttons with a single line and let go. Now that spacer, when we select it, you've got an X and a Y. If we change the X to 20, it's not going to do anything. So we do Y, then that's going to give us our Z height, even though it's Y. I'm going to make it the same as the buttons, which is I think 40. So now we can go back to our vertical box. and resize this. And let's go ahead and do it at 130. So then now we can take our vertical box. We want to lower it back down so it's back in the center of our screen. So our Y, we need to change that to -65, which is half of 130. So perfectly in the center of the screen. Now our button 1 is resume game. So I'm going to click on it a couple times so you see it change there, or you can hit F2 or right click and select rename, and I'm going to call this my resume button. Then I'm going to select this one, same thing, exit button. Open this one, select the text, and I'm going to change resume to say exit. So when we press this button, it's going to resume the game. We hit the exit game button, it's going to exit the game. Alright, compile, save. We're just creating the widget. Then I'll show you how we're going to call the widget in just a few moments. So let's actually go to our graph. Got all this cool stuff here, and for right now, I'm going to delete all of it. We don't need it. Go back to our designer. Now I'm going to select the resume button, and I can scroll down right here. It says on clicked, bang, and it goes right into my design graph. Same thing if I'm already in the graph, I can select my exit button, and I'm going to have the option for on clicked right there. We're going to have one more thing to add, but for right now, the resume button and exit button. We'll start with the exit button because it's the most complex. This is very difficult here. Quit game. I know, it's complicated. There's a lot going on here. When I say exit, I wanted to quit the game. I personally can't stand friggin' nag screens. Are you sure you want to exit? Really? Do you really want to exit? Because you're going to end your game and you're not going to have save anything. You're not going. If I said exit the damn game, exit the damn game. If you want nag screens, build them in yourself. I'm not doing them. That's just me. I'm a pain in the ass. Okay, on resume button. Not so complicated, but there is more involved than quitting the game. So I'm going to drag out from the executable pin, and I'm going to say remove from parent. I know, also complicated, very difficult. It's not all we want to do here, but that's the basic premise, is we're going to remove it from our view. But we need to tell it to do a few more things. So I'm going to set input back to game mode only. I'll show you why this is important here in a few moments. Get our player controller. Get player controller, and we'll just shove you over there. And we don't need our mouse cursor at this point. We don't have one, but we are going to have one. So I'm going to drag off from our controller and set show mouse cursor, and I'm going to connect this pin to here, this pin to here, and now when we hit resume button, it's going to make sure that we get rid of any mouse cursor that we may have, and it's going to remove the widget from our view. Okay, so we're going to need to do one more thing here, and if we want to make sure that these are the only two things you can do, we should be okay. We're not going to worry about having an exit button for that screen or whatever else. We're just going to let these be our two. So we're good there. So we go back to our player character and open him up, and we want to give a new key command. So I'm going to right click on here, and I'm going to type in escape and hit enter. We want to hit the escape key. Now, I'm not setting up a key binding. If I was setting a key binding, I would go here, go to project settings, go to input. If you're trying to set a permanent input, go to action mappings and then create all that. We're not worried about that. we can do what we need to do by just doing that. So we press the escape key. What we want to happen is we want to create a widget. Since we've already created our widget, we can now select it here from escape menu, owning player, get player controller. Alright, so we've created that. The next thing we want to do is drag off from our return value, the one that says return value. We want to add to viewport. Alright, so now we're showing it to our player. And we also want to set input mode to UI only. We want to stop our player from moving around. We don't want to do diddly squat. We want our player just to be able to interface with our menu. So we connect our executables and then grab in widget to focus. And I'm going to select this one right here. Just drag that across and it's going to focus in on our widget and give us our input mode. But we need a mouse cursor at this point. So drag off from our player controller and set show mouse cursor. We're going to connect that to here and we're going to make it neat. We're going to put a check on the checkbox. So what we have here is when we hit the escape key, we're going to create a widget. We're going to add it to the viewport. We're going to set our input mode to UI only and show our mouse cursor. So what's going to happen now, we hit play, and we hit escape, and oh no, we use the escape key, but the escape key quits playing in the standalone mode. So how are we going to test that? Well, we go here to play. There's a little small arrow next to the play button. We're going to do new editor window. Well, what if we hit escape now? Oh no, it's going to do the same thing because we need to do this in standalone game. This is going to simulate that we're actually playing the game. I mean, simulate might work, but play in standalone game. This is going to fire it up, and this is going to be just like you're playing it in normal mode. Yay, we can walk around, we can test that. Hit escape. We got a nice background blur, we got a mouse cursor, we hit resume game. Mouse cursor goes away, we have control of our character, and it are lovely. Hit escape again, we hit exit game, and what does it do? It exits the game. So therefore, we now have a way of setting up our player to create the widget for getting out of the game. A very, very important thing to do here. So now I'm going to reselect all this stuff here, and I'm going to hit the C key and comment it and call this my escape menu. Color. Well, I accidentally deleted all my other colors. Well, I didn't accidentally do it. I did it on frickin' purpose. So I'm just going to grab these and resave them really quickly. And we have the yellow. So now I can go back in here, select this one, select here, select my yellow, and we're done. There. We at least have a way of playing the game and hitting exit to go to an escape menu and being able to quit the game. So we can do this, we can do save all, and let's do file, package project, Windows 64-bit, select our folder because we already deleted the old version. It should prompt us to go right back to where we should be, and there we go. Ah, coffee, the nectar of the gods. And this other drink of choice tonight is orange crush. I know the camera's off, but this should not be a shock to anybody who's ever watched any of my videos, but orange crush is my drink of choice. Watermelon crush is also pretty badass. Alright, so we're done. I'm going to exit that. I'm going to empty my recycling bin of all the other failed versions. Go back in here. What did it do? It created another Windows No Editor folder, which we don't want. I'm going to select all these things, move it back to the root folder, go back to my root folder, delete the Windows No Editor folder because I hate you. Go away. Now we go to play my game, and there we go. So now you can share this with your friends. Hey, look what I made. I made an awesome game. I are many much more awesomer than you are because I made a video game. Can't do shit but walk around, but I'm awesome. Now when you hit escape, look, you got your background blur. Hit resume game, works just fine. Yay, and there was much rejoicing. Now I hit escape again, exit game, and it works just perfectly fine. Awesome. Now if I want to, I can right click on my first game, add to myfirstgame.rar, and it's going to package it up. How big is this folder going to be, or this game going to be, whenever this is all we've got in here? Not very big. Takes a few moments to do all this, and then keep in mind there's nothing here. We don't have any multiplayer or anything else. It's just simple. I'm actually going to delete that because I'm not going to keep it. Scroll down. It's going to put it in the root of your F drive there, or your hard drive, and you're going to want to go to my first game. 116 megabytes. Holy cow. So that's it. Relatively small for download size, but you have your first game. You can walk in and do things and walk around and feel like you've accomplished something. Your first game. You're a cowboy. You're walking around. This is my game. I did it. You can put your name in there. You can put whatever you want for text inside there. You can add more text if you want. What I would recommend doing is, for people who aren't familiar with playing games for some reason, and don't know what the hell a WASD control system is for, and mouse control, yeah, you could put the controls for the game: space to jump, W to go forward, S to go back, whatever to go whatever, WASD, and mouse cursor to move your view around, and escape to bring up the escape menu, resume game, and exit game. So, up to you. We're going to close out this video here. This has got you the basics for getting in here, creating your first game, packaging it in a way that you can share it with your friends and they can check it out and give you input suggestions on what you can do with it. The next video we're going to pick up in, and I'm actually going to use my simple multiplayer Steam template that is going to allow me to have multiplayer. Okay, and again, this is something that I sell for $20 US currency on PayPal. Only way to get it. And I'll show you how I create a project with it, and we'll go from there. And the only reason why I'm doing it this way is, well, why don't you just show us how to make it multiplayer? Because I sell this package, and that's the only source of income that I have. So I can't very well just give this away whenever this is my only source of income. At some point later down the road, I might, but right now, no. This is, like I said, my only source of income is selling this simple multiplayer Steam template called SMST_420. So, to me, I could show you how to make this. If you want to do it on your own, that's fine. There's other templates out there. There's other tutorials out there for doing it. But the reason why I sell this one is so that I can generate a little bit of money to help pay for things like food, assets, gas, insurance, cell phone, power, water, sewage, trash, internet, things of that nature. And no, I don't make hardly any money whatsoever. I don't make any money from my YouTube videos. So the only way that I can finance any of this is to sell the simple multiplayer Steam template. And so there, it's going to be the backbone of this series after this. Well, that's pretty crappy, man. You're going to charge people to... No. It's pretty crappy whenever people come up with comments saying that it's pretty crappy that I'm trying to make some money. I've done... This is my third stream tonight at an hour each stream. That's 3 hours out of my day dedicated towards helping other people. And... yeah, I think me being a nice person, I deserve a little kickback every now and then. So yeah, if you just want to donate money, that's fine too. PayPal link is in the description. Do I have a Patreon? Nope. Will I set up a Patreon again? Nope. Did I have one? Yep. And I deleted it because I got screwed so many times on Patreon and didn't make a single penny. Because people would pledge money on Patreon and say, yeah, I'm on Patreon now. Give me your Steam template. Well, what I should have done is said, okay, once the money clears, I will be glad to. When I get the money, you get the product. Well, that takes up to 45 days or more on Patreon. And if you give me money now, do you want to wait 45 days to get your project or your product? Hell no, I wouldn't. So PayPal only. You don't have to even have a PayPal account to be able to send me money or to buy the template. You can pay without having a PayPal account. It doesn't hurt to have one, but yeah. So PayPal is the only way that I accept money right now, and that's the only way I'm going to accept money. Sorry, that's just it's the safest, most secure method for you and for me. PayPal has buyer protection and seller protection. So it's a safe way to send and receive money, so that's why I use it. I like PayPal. I've been using PayPal for many, many, many years, and I don't recall ever having any major issues and any issues I did have, PayPal took care of it, no problem. So people trying to renege on payments, things like that, yeah, they watched out for me, I watched out for them, so cool. Alright, so Megathon over. We've got our first playable game. There's nothing in it. The next video I will start here probably shortly, and it will be based on using my simple multiplayer Steam template. And I do have another way that you can show your love later on the line for your game as you get closer to release point. It's an advertising system. I've already explained it before, but it's not ready for prime time just yet, so we'll worry about it later. But for now, if you want to follow along the rest of this series, then we're going to be using the simple multiplayer Steam template that I sell via PayPal for 20 bucks. Yep. It's worth it. I'm worth it. I hope so, at least. So, thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.